Sometimes the greatest secrets lay in places that we may never think to look. And throughout the world, there are many different countries and cultures that are filled with these magic gems that surprise us in many different ways. And today here on FTD Facts, we look at the great country of Estonia, a country that has a great form of culture and history, and although it may not get a lot of media attention, it is one beautiful place that has many magical gems within it. What's up, guys? Welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where we talk about people, cultures, and places from all around the world. Now, today, if you haven't looked at the title, if you haven't looked at the thumbnail, and you just clicked on this video, don't ask me why, we are going to talk about Estonia. Now, for all my returning viewers, first of all, thanks for coming back and learning about a new place. And yeah, guys, I got a new haircut. Pretty awesome, isn't it? Other than that, guys, at any point throughout this video, if you guys really like this video on Estonia and you want more Estonian content, or you want a part 2, be sure to hit the like buttons, because if we get over 5,000 likes, we know to do a part 2. That's how we do it here. Anyways, let's get started. Let's talk about Estonia and what is great about this country. So, of course, for some countries around the world, when you think of Estonia, you think of it maybe like this. But the truth is, it's not like this. It's actually a very, very beautiful country, and it looks a little bit more like this. Very beautiful indeed. And when it comes to countries, age does not mean a bad thing, because it's had a history that dates back as far as 9,000 BC. And what's crazy about this country is, because of its age and because it's considered a Christianized country, it is widely believed that Estonia was one of the last countries to ever be Christianized. Which for Estonia didn't happen until about the 13th century, during what is known as the Livonian Crusade. Now, of course, when we hear about this, we think to ourselves, what is the Livonian Crusade, and why did it happen in Estonia? Basically, it was a crusade where the Germans of the Holy Roman Empire moved north to places like Finland and took over the Finland tribes, in which during this time, it is known that the Duchy of Estonia became created, after, of course, the Germans had migrated north to this region. Now, Estonia is also a rather interesting country when it comes to independence, because throughout the 20th century, it's a country that's really struggled for independence, and actually kind of has several dates of independence. Because of that, you could say that Estonia theoretically has 2 Independence Days, because on February 24th, 1918 was when the Republic of Estonia was created after it got independence from Russia. However, during the Second World War, Estonia merged with Russia against the Germans, and during that time there was a lot of back and forth occupation. And although after the war, Estonia had no longer much fear of the Germans, they pretty much became part of the Soviet Union, which lasted until August 20th of 1991. So there is a tiny, tiny little bit of history about Estonia. I mean, it has a huge amount of history and a lot of culture behind that history, but let's get into some actual facts about Estonia today and some other cool facts about the country. For example, the capital city of Estonia is Tallinn. And for Tallinn, it has been around for a long time, as it was recorded to be first mentioned in 1219 AD, in which, of course, by 1248, the city had its own rights, and it first appeared on a map in 1148. Now, one interesting thing about the city of Tallinn, it's one of the few countries in the entire world, out of all countries in the world, that has a capital that's pretty much a medieval city. And because it's so well preserved, the city itself is classified as a UNESCO zone. It's also interesting to know that Tallinn is known as Silicon Valley of Europe, as it is a place that has so many startup businesses that began there and have become very successful. As a matter of fact, most people say that Estonia is the country that has the most startup businesses out of any country in the entire world. For example, companies like Skype is located and was created there. The city is also considered a very tech-savvy city because the European Union's IT department is also located there. Now, of course, for the city of Tallinn, unfortunately, it doesn't really have a founded date because it became capital after 1991, after the Soviet Union had been dissolved and Estonia became its own country. But overall, let's take a look at the country and the numbers behind it. For example, in 2018, as of an estimate that year, they say the population sits at 1,319,133 people, making this country rank 151st in the world. And in relationship to this, its density sits at 194th out of all countries in the world, having approximately 28 people per square kilometer. And although Estonia is not a big country compared to other countries, it does have a land size of 45,227 kilometers square, ranking 129th, with a water percentage of 4.45%. So that's your general idea of the size and population. Let's take a look at some of the money, the GDP, and the currency of Estonia. For example, the GDP, in which we use the purchasing power parity, and it's a good way to compare nations. The GDP for Estonia sits at $44.177 billion, with a per capita GDP of $33,842. Because of this, it ranks 43rd in the world as of a 2018 estimate. It should also be known that when it comes to Estonia, the countries of Finland and Sweden are major influences towards the economy of this country. And speaking of the economy of Estonia, although it has been a member of the European Union since September 4th of 2003, which, by the way, when Estonia joined the EU, they became the first ex-Soviet Republic country to ever join the EU. But although being a part of the EU, the official currency of Estonia is the Estonian kroon, which became the form of currency for Estonia on September 1st, 1928. But however, although they do have their own form of currency, in 2011 the Estonian euro was also introduced. Now, for money, we should probably look at some imports and exports and find out what this country actually gives and contributes to the rest of the world. For example, when it comes to exports, they sit at $14.1 billion, ranking 75th in the world. Of that, their biggest exports are telephones at 17%, refined petroleum at 3.8%, and cars at 3.2%. Of course, there are thousands of other products that Estonia exports, but it should be mentioned that machinery and equipment make up 33% of the entire exports of the country. As for imports, jumping over, they have approximately $15.2 billion, ranking 81st in the world. Their biggest imports are refined petroleum at 8.3%, cars at 5.6%, and telephones at 4.3%. So looking at those numbers, Estonia may seem like a country that imports more and may have a deficit to its exports. But however, keep in mind, in 2010, Estonia had some really good economic points going for the country. For example, it was one of the countries that had the lowest amount of debt in 2010 out of all the EU countries, being only 6.7% of the GDP of that year. And it should also be noted that in Estonia, there's pretty much no form of public debt that exists within the country. And as well, when it comes to this country, I should mention that Estonia produces about 75% of its own electricity. Which actually reminds me, have you ever heard of the Estlink cable? Well, this one's actually pretty interesting, because this is a hydropower cable that goes in between Estonia and Finland, and it was the first interconnection link between the Nordic and Baltic countries in the world. With a total length of 105 kilometers long, it sits at an average depth of 330 feet deep, and it began construction in 2006, being finished in 2007. So those are just some human aspects and, of course, some human achievement character traits of the country of Estonia. But one thing that I find really amazing about this country is its geology. So one thing that is famous within Estonia is its small meteorite pockets known as the Kali craters. And basically there are about 9 of these little craters in the Saaremaa region, in which they say these small craters were formed anywhere between 1530 to 1450 BC. And what's interesting about these is that because Finland and Estonia have some cultural relationships, these meteorites are even mentioned in Finnish folklore. Also, when it comes to Estonia, it is a very low country when it comes to height. The country itself, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of mountains and is known to be quite flat, with an average elevation of only 50 meters above sea level. But the tallest peak within the country is known as Egg Mountain, or simply Sir Monomägi, which is located in the southeast region of the country and sits at only 318 meters high, or 1,043 feet. Also, interesting fact about Egg Mountain is they have a really tall building there for people to, I guess, go up and observe the region and area. But it's interesting to know that when it comes to this tower, this is the 5th one to be built, as the original and first one was built in 1812. Oh yes, and of course, one thing that I failed to mention when it comes to Estonia is biodiversity. It's got quite a lot of this. Because what is interesting about Estonia is it is very well known for oil shale mining, in which in 2011, oil shale provided up to 85% of the energy for the entire country. And if you include deposits for limestone and oil shale and forestry, they make up 47% of the entire land of Estonia. And for that reason alone, Estonia has many protected zones and parks, in which the country boasts to have at least 5 major national parks, 159 nature reserves, and other regions that are protected. Which, because of this, it makes 18% of the entire lands of Estonia, and of course 26% of all of its seas protected zones, which I just found to be an absolutely amazing fact. And Estonians also took a major step into having a more green way of life by introducing the Nature Convention Act, which went into effect in 2004. As well, if you're wondering which of the parks is considered the largest national park in the country, it is the Lahima National Park, which spans 725 kilometers square, and it is the largest one not only in Estonia, but one of the largest in all of Europe. Of course, we could go on for hours and talk about how great Estonia is from a cultural perspective and just as a country. But either way, my name is Dave Wappel, and that reminds me, guys, by the way, if we missed any facts in this video, be sure to let us know down there in the comments section below of the stuff that we missed, because here on the channel, we generally do a lot of part 2s, which also reminds me, if you guys like this video and you want a part 2, or you want us to continue to talk about Estonia, either from a military perspective or about other great things about this country, be sure to hit the like buttons, because if we get over 5,000 likes, then we know you guys are just really liking this stuff and that you want to come back for more. But on that, guys, my name's Dave Wappel, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't done it and it's your first time here. But however, you learned today about the great and amazing country of Estonia, one that is constantly growing and evolving to better itself and its people. A country filled with great opportunities, startup businesses, and home to tech geniuses, and is a nation of great forestry and nature, and of course cultural history. This is the people, culture, and country of Estonia, a place that reminds us that sometimes the world can revolve around places that are small and humble in nature. So guys, if you like this video and you want to learn about more other great countries around the world, well, check out our countries playlist right here. On top of that, we got some other great content for you guys to check out, so don't forget to tune into us every single day. We'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have a good one. All right, bye!